yourself a writer or a storyteller, and do you think there's a difference?
I think I'm both. I think that probably all writers are not necessarily. Yeah, there's differences, but there's a lot of crossover, I guess. You know, like a lot of writers are great storytellers. Not all storytellers necessarily write stuff down, but it doesn't mean that they're not writing.
Right.
Like, you know, they've got to still construct the story. Storytelling is a largely oral tradition historically, so you know, I mean, that was the earliest form of writing before there was the concept of writing. Things were passed down orally, so I don't make a huge distinction between the two of them.
Right.
Although there is obvious differences. Does that make any sense?
That totally makes sense.
Okay.
Well, can you give a little brief history on how and when you got into writing?
Okay, I've always written since I was a kid. Journal after journal after journal of, you know, beginning with I guess late elementary school angst, followed closely by junior high school angst.
And these were hidden journals, right?
Yeah. Grade 7 was the first time I ever remember writing a story that I was really stoked about. I have no idea what it was about. I think it was a fictionalized. I remember my friends were characters, but the story wasn't true. It was definitely grade 7. My teacher's name. I remember what he looks like. He had chalk on his pants all the time, and I think in his English class. But I remember that tingling feeling that I spent most of my life searching for again, of creating something that was totally my own construction, that was completely for me, and that I being really excited about that, like this whole other world that I could create and then envelop myself in.
Tingly feeling, I like that.
Yeah, grade 7, and then I had a brief and unsuccessful career as a lesbian folk singer.
Wow.
In my early 20s, and then I realized I was actually better at the banter than the actual songwriting or singing.
Is there any evidence of that floating around anywhere?
Thankfully, no, I don't believe there is.
Damn.
I think there might be before my house fire there was a poster, but no, except for in the hopefully faded memories of a few old school queers in Vancouver. No, and then somewhere around 1995, I'd say. 1994, 1995, I started doing public readings, and I don't remember the first one. Oddly enough, I just remember all of a sudden I was doing it, and
that's
so there must have
Vancouver,
been
right?
the first one, mostly Vancouver. Yeah. And then in 1997, I started 1996. I co-founded Taste This, which was a storytelling troupe with 3 other artists in Vancouver, Anna Camilleri, Lila Montgomery, and Zodiaco.
Wow.
And we did a live show at the Grunt Gallery, and we were approached by Press Gang Publishers afterwards to see if we would want to do a sort of a page version of our stage show. And that book became Boys Like Her. It came out in 1998. Went on to do really well. Great reviews, and got bought up. Press Gang went under. It got bought up by Raid Coast, who are the Harry Potter people, and was put into its 2nd edition. And that sort of opened up a lot of doors for me. And then again, I got approached by a guy who worked for Arsenal Paul Press, a guy named Blaine, and they asked to see a manuscript. I sent him in a manuscript. Took them 6 or 7 months to get back to me. They turned it down, so I did some edits and some changes on it, sent it back in. That was close to Spider-Man in 2000, and then One Man's Trash came out in 2002. And I started doing a lot of storytelling with music, so I released You're a Nation, which is the first CD project I did in 2003. 2005, I did published Loose End. I started writing a column for Xtra West in 2001. So my first collection of columns came out in 2005 called Loose End. 2006 was my novel. 2007 was my second CD project. That was called You Are Here. It was a collaboration with Race Bluegrass musician from Alberta, great singer-songwriter, and a story cycle of mine recorded live at the Yukon Arts Centre in March of 2007 and released last July. And then it's The Slow Fix, which is my second collection of Loose End columns. So it's kind of Loose End 2. Will come out this fall. And out in 2001. Um, Last year, both No Bikini, which I wrote the story that the film was based
Which
on by
I just
Claudia.
watched like 5 minutes ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then last summer, Veda Gilly and I co-produced and directed a documentary on queer history of Vancouver called "The Love That Won't Shut Up."
That's neat.
Yeah.
So what's happening with that?
It was picked up by Video Out, the distributor, and I'm not sure where it's. I haven't received a royalty statement or anything, so it has a distributor, so they take care. I can only do so much.
Right. Yeah.
So it has, and I'm not sure. It premiered last year at the Out on Screen Film Festival in Vancouver.
Great. That's awesome. So you, at least as far as your start goes, I think that's sort of a different experience as far as people coming to you, right? Instead of you having to really push it out there.
Yeah.
So you're sort of.
But that was because we were putting our stuff out there on stage live.
Right.
It wasn't like they didn't come knocking on my door or anything like that, going, "We heard you're writing stories in your basement."
Right. Yeah. That would be creepy.
Yeah.
So as far as projects and things that you're doing right now and jobs, because I know about the teaching and the writing. So what are some of those?
I'm sort of loosely collecting live recordings with me and musicians. I like musical collaborations, so I'm working with Linda Montgomery, who's a bass player and violin player. Played for years with the Ember Swift band. She was actually in Boys Like Her. She was one of the performers at Taste This back in the 90s that I worked with. So her and I are working on some stuff together. I've done a couple of recordings with Veda. I hope to work with a cello player, a punk rock cello player out of Vancouver that I've done some shows with, named Chris Dirksen.
Punk rock cello player.
Yeah, she's classically trained, but she's a punk rock cello player. And this guy named Dan Mangan, who's a great singer and songwriter. I hope to do. I've done a couple of gigs with him, and I hope to do a recording with him. So sometime in the next year or 2 years, I'd like to release another CD of all live recordings. Something about live recordings that I like. Hard to get a good, decent live recording, but it's hard to capture the energy of a live show in a studio setting.
Right.
And the Slow Fix, my second collection, will be out this fall. So I just finished the edits on that. So it's gone into layout and design and marketing. Machine's already cranking into gear. So I'll be touring that this fall, and then it's going to be released in Canada in the fall, and then in the States probably next spring. So there'll be more touring. I'm waiting to hear back from a grant on another project, which is similar to the You Are Here CD project. It's another sort of Yukon history project. So there'll be hopefully some research happening over the next year, and I'm working on my novel.
Oh.
I think that's.
So not a lot happening, is what
No,
you're saying. So what kind of topics do you cover in your column for Extra West? I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, me too. We're at gay camp. It's noisy. People don't come here to be quiet and reserved. I've done 8 years of that column, so I've spanned a lot of topics. I mean, it's a gay and lesbian newspaper, so I try to keep it, vaguely gay and or lesbian with my own slant on that. So, they're basically stories of life, and they're Loose End. Have you read Loose End?
I haven't yet.
Oh
no.
yeah. Okay. Well, that'll give you a really good idea. I guess basically I try not to talk so much about what makes me different. I try to find a commonality and humanity in sort of day-to-day interactions that I have. So they're often stories about people that I meet. They often involve my kind of unique viewpoint and experience of the world as somebody who doesn't really fit into a gender box.
Right.
So it's a recurring theme because it's a recurring theme in my life.
Of course.
It doesn't seem to be going away all that quickly. It's like, oh, I wake up every morning and I'm like, yeah, no, we still live in a heavily gendered society, and I still don't really know what gender I am. So here we go again with that theme.